Alrighty, Card Authority, Sunday afternoon, announcement day. Janks.
It's
Wow.
it's been a big day. I've had a super hectic couple of days and a very, very busy day today with lots of stuff going on. Then the announcement at 5 p.m, which I was able to tune into on my phone with a lot of other people around me at the time. I've come in here. It's fair to say I'm excited. I'm excited for the hobby. I'm excited for all the collectors of all the different teams and cards and types, but I'm most excited for myself and how many St Kilda players there are.
We're going to get to
'Cause
that.
we may not get the premierships, but we got a lot of Brownlows.
Hello, Glenn. Hello, Gribbler. Hello, Stacey. I did actually have a haircut, if you can see it, but it's not done today.
Did you?
It's Sunday. All right, for everyone that's been living under a rock, Select have just announced the brand new Brownlow Medalist release for 2024, where they have basically given previous Brownlow Medal winners a booklet leading up to the current set. So for people that might be aware, it started in 2015 for Dangerfield. That's next to me. Yeah, 15 for Dangerfield. And, I know, Fife even, sorry. Either way, 15 it started. And they've now given Brownlow Medal booklets to all the living medalists that are still alive, willing to sign. And there's a couple that we can talk about a little bit later on. But there is 49 booklets in the set, 150 booklets of each. We'll talk about the Future Predictor in a second. But it's an exciting release. $225 for SEC members, $295 general sale. So once again, Select have given a really, really substantial win to the collectors that are SEC members, but also for the general sale.
There's plenty to go around.
$295,
Yeah.
7,350 boxes, so 3,000 going to SEC. It just shows that this release, and we're going to talk about this a lot more, is really widely available to everybody, very accessible, and really, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Janks, before we deep dive, you've been in this a little bit longer than I have.
Yes, sir.
Talk to me booklets. Talk to me the special reason of where they hold in collecting for you and in the industry.
So booklets are very rare in AFL cards, originally introduced in terms of the redemption for the Brownlows, and then followed up with Supremacy 2019 and the booklets, and obviously held in really high regard. You know, in terms of, you know, the physical attributes, they're always going to be superior to other cards. They are booklets. They, you know, these ones contain little medals in them or replica medals.
Yep.
Other ones obviously contain patches and all that sort of stuff. But let's focus on the Brownlow booklet side of things here. And the real key aspect to this is it's been something that's always been a redemption in Footy Stars. And as a result, one, it's only been around for 7 years. And as a result, it's been very, very difficult to, one, get your hands on one and to be able to have one in your possession. Very expensive and very hard to get because they're coming out of Series 1 and not many actually get redeemed and make it to market. And two, for those, unfortunately, that haven't had a team winning a Brownlow in quite a long time, we don't have that chase. And, you know, I've always been jealous of people who have done the Brownlow each year who may collect other things, you yourself obviously included, because they're amazing cards to have those booklets and also to show the Brownlow and have the replica Brownlow in there and everything like that as well is very exciting. We've obviously seen the extension with Coleman's Rising Stars and whatnot as well, but the Brownlow booklets, I think, hold something really special in the eye of a collector and in the eyes of the hobby. So,
and I think you nailed it right there. We have seen the evolution of it with Rising Star and also Coleman,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have the metal.
Yeah.
And I know some people will say, it's plasticky, it's whatever.
Yeah.
But it actually adds a really nice bit of texture to a booklet. I mean, I'll talk about these obviously throughout the day, but this is a previous one for people that haven't seen. So this is a Patrick Dangerfield. And for people that haven't seen a Brownlow booklet in the flesh, which way am I going that way? You know, to actually have the physical medal, the signature booklet, it is just a really nice bit of memorabilia for those player collectors, team collectors.
I think that's probably the key word and something I didn't say. I think the booklets, like with patch cards and other things, to me, go beyond the realm of just card collectors as well. I think it goes to a It's broader. They are very much more of a piece of memorabilia and limited memorabilia. I do like about this release, and it's been mentioned in the comments already, that being numbered to 150 here, because it's a true 150, because the product is being targeted at the hobby and collectors market, so you'd expect those will come to light at some point, as opposed to 30% of the ones that are getting redeemed out of Series 1 releases like Footy Stars. It now not only is your team and players that you want and that you may individually collect. So for me, for St Kilda as a master set collector, for example, but they're also actually attainable. We're not looking at only 30 or 40 of a card coming to market, but also on the flip side to that, it feels like a good number because it's not pushing out to that 275 or 250 range as well. It's giving everyone something that's attainable, and it should be attainable at a reasonable price, at a price that is reflective of both the availability of the card, but also the quality of the card and the booklet side of things and the aesthetic side of things as well. So, really, I think they've really hit the mark here at a number of different levels with this release.
Aesthetically, it's a beautiful card. It's tangible. It comes in a booklet holder. It feels like a nice product, any booklet for that matter.
Yeah.
And there are going to be, and there's multiple comments that have been popped up that people are going to be, I've never had a booklet or I've wanted a booklet. And the beautiful thing, and we saw this in Brilliance over the last 3 releases of Brilliance, is that people want to collect and nostalgically collect the players that they've grown up with. And we're a little bit older than the younger guys now. And you look at these guys like Plugger and Crawford and Hurd and all, Dipper.
It's an incredible checklist. Well, they're the Brownlow medalists.
That's right. That's right.
That's the reality.
There's a couple of weeks in Kilda ones.
Yeah,
but,
always.
But there are going to be a lot of people here that are player or team collectors, but there's also going to be a lot of people. I've already had a couple of our clients reach out saying that they want to try to do the whole set of this.
Yeah.
And my reply was fantastic. There's 150 each of them. You're going to be able to get them.
Well, I feel like you've got a bunch of those collectors who do a variety of different sets. It could be Hall of Fame sets or whatever it is. But even in recent years, you've got people doing the full DPS sets, and that's what they're collecting.
Yeah.
I very much feel like this is the type of release that appeals to that type of collector as well. And I also think people need to be careful not to get caught in the trap of, okay, cool, number to 150, but there's only 20 collectors for my team, so it's going to be easy. As you said, this is the type of release where people go beyond just their team set if they're a team collector and look to other things. Like, there's certainly, for me, it's really interesting. Like, as you know, I've never tried to go outside the box of my St Kilda Master set, and then also I do a Sheasel and a CJPC for personal reasons. But I've never gone beyond it because I feel like I wouldn't be able to contain myself. But now I'm definitely like, I'm very fortunate. I have a lot of cards on display in glass shelves. My Supremacy booklet shelf, which is the only booklets I have because there's been no St Kilda Brownlows, is absolutely a standout. It totally looks different because they're booklets. I feel like I know I'm going to go after the St Kilda ones here, but there are other players that I love here. Am I going to open the can of worms and end up having to go and do a full set of this, then backlog the ones that you've got, or I'll just steal your ones? And, are there other people with similar thoughts in mind here at a variety of different levels? Is it something that someone's actually going to go and do this full set on top of their team or whatever it is that they do? Is there people that love Gary Ablett, for example, is a probably really good example of, I know so many team set collectors that are not Geelong or Gold Coast for that matter, that have always picked up Gary Ablett cards, or, again, there's, Lockett is a fantastic one. Look, I could see myself how many people in Supremacy, the Lockett signature was there. At least 50% of the people that went out and acquired that card were not St Kilda collectors.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of things going on here, and there's just so much to get excited about. Look, I keep glancing down. If you're looking at me and my eyes keep skewing down, it's because I've got the checklist and the visuals in front of me, and it's unreal.
So let me just get through a bit of housekeeping because a few people are asking. So SEC is up for sale at the moment, $2.25 per box. You can get 3 boxes with your SEC membership. I believe that ends, I did have that up somewhere here.
Sunday, is it? Next Sunday?
No, public sale is Sunday. I will get back to that. That ends Sunday. But yeah,
You've got until at least Friday to get your
I think it's
SEC
Friday.
purchases through.
Yeah, Friday. And then Sunday, July 21st, 7 p.m, 3 boxes.
Thursday. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Sorry, definitely not Friday. Thursday.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, it's right in front of me too. 5 p.m. on Thursday.
5 p.m. Thursday, you've got.
Sunday, July 21st, 7 p.m. Public sale, 3 boxes per person. Public sale. If you buy 3 for SEC,
you can buy
another 3 in public sale.
Yep.
They are $2.95 each. You've got to ship them separately, and then they will be sending them out on Tuesday, the 23rd. So depending on the shipping method you pick, you may get it Wednesday.
You'll be
Thursday.
ripping by the end of the month.
Definitely by the end of the week. Yeah. So very exciting release. Really, really affordable. And again, we knock Select over lots of different things, but to give collectors an opportunity to get a booklet at this price, and especially SEC members at $2.25,
Yeah.
it's a fantastic product to rip yourself. It's a fantastic product to break, which we'll obviously be doing.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one for trading, though.
And trading.
Because it's not like you're going to open a box and hopefully you get a case hit or an awesome box hit in your box and that gives you trade bait. The reality is this is the type of product, there's no shit players as such. Do you know what I mean? So the reality is everything's trade bait here.
Yeah, Justin just raised an interesting point. And look, it's very hard for us to speculate on prices now, Justin. But historically, look, being numbered to 150, can you see some cards being no more than 200?
I don't see that.
Look, I think there might be in a few weeks' time some of the lesser known older players that you might be able to get for $200 to $300, like with any release.
I don't know.
But there is, it's so hard to speculate on that. Again, as we've just talked about, I think there's going to be a whole different segment of collectors, outside team collectors, which are going to be doing a lot to hold that price up.
I think if it drops to that sort of price point, that opens it up for actually a whole bunch of other buyers in the market. Well, I can tell you now, if they were selling for that sort of money, I'm 100% doing the full set.
Well, as you know, and we've talked about, look, one of the things I do outside of Richmond and Dusty is I collect Brownlow booklets. And, as you'll see, and actually, I'll talk about these too. These booklet card holders, if you are going to get multiple booklets or keep them yourself, these are from Select. Card Armor, this is not a plug in any way. I actually physically use these. And they hold 6 booklets in them. They're like $15, whatever. I've got a whole heap of them in the safe. These are excellent. If you are going to collect booklets or you've got booklets, go and grab some of these Card Armor storage boxes. They're absolutely brilliant. But I collect Brownlow booklets.
Yeah.
And as you know, I weave my way through picking some of those up, but there's no rush in getting them.
Yeah.
I just recently had an Ollie Wines Platinum. I just found a gold the other day, as you know.
Yeah.
These are the kind of thing that you are going to be allowed to or be able to collect over some months because there's going to be so many boxes, being 7,000 of them.
Yeah.
There's going to be some opportunities to pick up some really good price booklets. But at the same time, I started looking through some of the names, especially on the right-hand side of the list. There is going to be some serious booklets selling at some serious price.
Especially super hard to value them at this point. That's the thing. They're really hard to value. But again, some of these at the right prices are going to get snapped up, and they're going to get snapped up in bulk as well. I think there's a lot of people that will speculate on these because, again, for the physical side of what you're getting here, if you can pick these up at a cheap price point, it's these are certainly massive future trade bait opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And is there retail limit? No, Dean. These are sold strictly just through Select. We have to buy our boxes on the secondary market like all the other breakers do. Obviously, we get our SEC and stuff like that.
So someone just said already listed on eBay, it's $700 a box.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. And once we start talking about this other future predictor thing too, which we'll get to shortly, there's some huge equity in those. Jesse wants to know why I'm on the right-hand side and you're on the left.
He's the technician. He stuffed it.
No, it's so when I'm looking at you,
but
it looks like I'm looking at you rather than...
I thought you had it in reverse.
It used to be in reverse, and everyone asked me why do I keep looking at the other way. So when I look to the right of screen that you guys look at, I'm looking at my monitors. Yeah, anyway.
Okay.
No, I'm AJ1, Jesse.
Yeah.
I'm AJ1. Anyway, all right. Before we go through the.
I was going to say, I don't know what you're about to say. You could be on the same line. There is a lot of comments going on at the moment, and a lot of really good comments.
Sure, fire.
Let's maybe get into some of this.
Well, you got the comments in front of you, don't you?
Some of this conversation as to what's going on.
Yeah.
And maybe some remarks. Benny Andrew says these booklets will stand the test of time. They will be chased for years to come.
Yep.
By current collectors and future collectors. I absolutely agree 100% with that sentiment.
And exactly just as I said about me collecting, it's something that I've done in the background. Now people, once they get a taste for this, they're going to then want to collect future booklets.
I definitely agree with that as well.
Yep.
Let's see who else we got here. Legacy, I think Legacy. So
you got to read it out.
Read it out. I'm looking. Someone just paid $6.60 shipped on eBay. All right, that's really interesting. We'll see what the price does over time.
That seems high.
That seems high. I'm not convinced that is the going rate at this point in time.
Especially with public sales.
But who knows? Anything can happen. I think people should consider that Brilliance is a pretty reasonable barometer for what's going on to an extent here as well with secondary market early pricing. So plenty of boxes for sale at general release.
Yep.
Take the opportunity if you're not an SEC member. All right. Sorry, it's taking me longer to scroll.
If you're going to be in charge of
it's
comments.
taking me longer because I have to do them one at a time.
What do you mean?
So Justin Smith says being numbered to 150. Can we expect? You already went through that.
Yeah.
Okay. I need you to do the comments.
All right. No, Jenks should not be number one. I'm the one that does all the work here. Look, I'll read Stephen's question out. I think legacy signatures like Dunstall and Buckley, number to only 50, couldn't sell at 350, 400, so being 150 shouldn't be massive dollars. I think the key thing that you're missing there, I think it was Goodwin that made that comment, is that these are booklets, first of all. I also think, too, that Series 2, generally you have people that are team collectors. Sit back, you're messing the cameras up. Look, you've got an iPad in front of you.
I don't know why it's messing with the camera.
Because your face is in front of it. I think the thing is, though, people, once they've collected their Series 2 set, unless people are going and backfilling, they don't necessarily need to go and get those cards. Whereas, as we've discussed for the last 10 minutes, this is like its own subset. You're going to have collectors outside team set collectors trying to get some. Yeah. Again, I'm not sitting here saying that Hurd or Buckley are going to be $10,000 cards, but I would think that if those sorts of cards are $500, well, I think they're going to get snapped up pretty quickly.
I agree.
So I'm not sure if I'd quite use that as a comparison. And again, you've just got to remember, these are booklets. They are Brownlow booklets.
You've got to put it aside in the same way that people have to view like patch cards are different to other cards of similar numbering. They're just not comparable. George Cadell says, what's the background to the cutoff date of pre-2015? George, it's because Footy Stars or the equivalent champions or whatever it's been, Series 1 since that time has had the Brownlow predictor each year. So it means they haven't doubled up on any of the Brownlows where they've already got booklets in play.
So I think 2015 was the first year of Footy Stars, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And what was it, 16?
16 they were introduced, I reckon.
Yeah, so 16.
Yeah, so 15's the first year.
Yeah, because Danger is the fifth. No, he's the 16 Brownlow Medal winners. So they must have predicted the 16. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So 16 was the first year they did it.
Yeah.
That's right, because it was on. Yeah. Anyway,
Andrew, sorry.
Yeah, do you want me to do it?
Andrew Worrell, yeah.
Yep, Andrew Worrell.
Only minor, but would have loved for dual medalists from multiple teams to have their own card.
So I discussed this with Jenks just quickly, and I'm not speaking out of turn here. There's definitely pros and cons to it, Andrew, but I think one of the interesting things, and we use the Gary Ablett example, is that if you've got 150 Geelong Gary Ablett booklets and 150 Gold Coast Gary Ablett booklets, it does some really messy things with the value, because fundamentally they are the same card. I actually really like the way Select have done it with not really focusing on the colours of the teams too much. You've got different colour strips around the middle, and you've got a picture of them in each of their jumpers. If you'd done 150 in Geelong colours, and say that card is worth $500, I'm just making numbers up, the Gold Coast one, being a Gold Coast card, actually has to be less. So what that would have done is brought the price of the Geelong card down, and you're actually devaluing the whole Ablett booklet.
Yeah.
So the other flip side is that if you've only got 150 of them, you've actually got 2 collector bases trying to attack those 150 booklets. It just would have been a bit of a saturation. For example, Ian Stewart, or Bob Skilton. There's no way there is a demand for 450 Bob Skilton booklets all in South Melbourne. So once you start doing a split across multiple years, it gets a little bit messy.
Notwithstanding everything that AJ's just said, and obviously the technical side of it, from my personal perspective, I definitely am with Worrell as well. I would have liked to have seen them separated. I personally don't like the idea of having another team's colours on the face of a St Kilda card. So again, Ian Stewart being a good example.
Yep.
And again, I've got to look at it from the perspective of I have cards on display across 6 cabinets of cards. Every single card is either a St Kilda card or a non-team represented like Future Force.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, I am now going to have one card in the whole mix, which is going to be a Richmond, have the Richmond colours on it. So I like the purest aspect of it. So from my personal opinion, or my personal preference, I would like to be able to have just the Saints side of things, but at the same time, from a broader perspective, I absolutely hear and acknowledge what you're saying as well.
Andrew, I knew you were talking about the Peter Moore there because obviously he's got Collingwood and Melbourne. Look, it's very hard. Again, I was probably more talking, as James said, on a technical level.
Yeah.
As a pure raw collector and the emotive side of it, I completely agree with you, James. I've got one card that I collect, the Dusty Triple, which has 2 Hawthorn players on it.
I said the same thing, at the time when the last Supremacy came out, and there was all these different weird combos going on in the Norm Smiths and the quads and all this sort of stuff.
Bern wants to know why you didn't bring that up in the design meeting.
No, I'm sorry, Ben. But yeah, I felt the same way. Like the Lockett with Sydney thing gets me. Like that always gets me because I don't think of him as a Sydney player.
Sure.
To me, he's Tony Lockett. He played at St Kilda. He's known for St Kilda.
Yep.
Like the Sydney thing's an absolute afterthought, and I don't like how. So it was the quad booklet
the 1,000 goals.
the 1,000 goal kicker thing really
but
threw me off. So it's just a personal preference thing for me.
For that, and again, I guess I'm being more technical. He kicked his 1,000th goal in a Sydney jumper.
Yeah.
And it was the same with someone else.
Yeah, that's
Doug
right.
Wade.
That's right.
Kicked it.
Yeah, and I suppose that's the notion of being a selfish to my club. That's and my perspective is through my club.
So let's just put a pin in the Brownlow for a second. We'll come back. Keep the questions coming through because we'll certainly answer it. Brownlow Series Prospect. Now, a brand new, I guess, little swing on a predictor. 1 in 12 boxes is going to have an additional card on top of the one that's in there.
So
you don't miss out on a booklet. You're going to get your booklet plus an additional card, which looks a little bit like the old Virtuoso cards they slipped in.
Yep.
And it is going to have a redemption that you can go and redeem for another booklet, which is valid for the next 3 years, including this year. And it has 1 player per club. And if they happen to win a Brownlow medal at that club in the next 3 years, you can redeem it for another booklet.
So we just need to say that again. So the cards you get, every single one, all 18 of those cards, immediately redeem a booklet. The booklet you get is not the winning booklet. It is a redemption for the player that becomes the winner of the future Brownlow medal. So again, if it sounds a bit weird,
so let's
say you're getting a business card. Every one of those business cards, it doesn't need to be the winner. It will still redeem a booklet.
Correct.
And then your booklet, the winning player, your booklet that you have for that team, ends up becoming the next redemption.
Yep. And sorry, just Connor's already answered the question. Paul Richardson said, "Where's the 2015 Brownlow booklet?" Spot on. So Nat Fyfe won it because he's already got a booklet in 2018, I think it is.
Wasn't included.
That's why it wasn't included.
Yeah, because they've stacked all the multi-Brownlows into one. Yeah.
That's right.
So there's only one Ian Stewart.
So, for example, with this Prospect series, Nick Dacos. All right. If you get a Nick Dacos Prospect booklet here,
Yeah.
If he wins the Brownlow in this year, next year, or the year after,
Yeah.
you can redeem it once from the first time he wins to get a number to 35 Brownlow booklet.
Yeah.
Now, to put that in perspective, currently Platinum's a number to 60.
Yeah. They've been as low as 50 or
40.
45?
45. 45
45,
for
I think
the
it
Nat
was.
5
Yeah,
one,
the
that's
Nat
right.
5 Platinum.
Yeah, 219. Thank you, Richo.
Yeah.
This has... We talk about speculation in cards.
Yeah.
And speculation is happening more and more with DPSs.
Yeah.
You don't get much more speculative
Yeah.
than this over the next 3 years.
Yeah, agree.
There are going to be people, shrewd people, that think, all right, well, Jack Sinclair, he plays for St Kilda and he's shit. He's not going to win one. Don't need it.
Yeah.
But I tell you, there's half a dozen names there
Yeah, there's some decent names.
that could all win. You're going to want to have those booklets tucked away.
Yeah.
This is a massive, massive add-on. And I guess also something that gives Port Adelaide, Fremantle, and GWS collectors something a little bit more to collect because obviously they don't have any booklets to get in this release. There is some serious names: Jordan Dawson, Ashcroft, Walsh, Dacos, Merritt, Sarong, Holmes, Green, Anderson, Newcomb, Petrarca, LDU, Butters, Taranto, Sinclair, Goulden, Kelly, and the Bont. It's pretty big. Sam, I will get to that very shortly. So this, on top of whatever is a really, really nice release, to add something for people to be looking in future years and to continue to engage them in Brownlow predictors.
It's live
fantastic.
starting this year. It's live.
Yeah.
So it's even for this season.
Yeah. Dale asked a question, what if they win but have changed club and win it at another club? I have flagged that with Select because I want a clarification on that. But my understanding would be is they would have to be at the club. But I will get clarification.
It's definitely
on
an
that.
interesting one.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because there's players here that potentially could go to other clubs.
I think it does say somewhere that there's terms and conditions on the website, which will get updated at some point. My guess is it would be they'd have to be at the club, but don't hold me on that. It might be if the player moves as well.
Yeah.
Not sure. We will confirm that, but that's my gut feeling. I mean, Jenks, you wrote the T's and C's.
Yeah, I know. Well, we haven't updated it yet, folks, but we'll get to that soon.
You can do that.
In the meantime, Paul Bazza Thaltus.
Yep.
He said, I would have preferred Will Day as a selection. Thoughts over the nuke? I'm not a Hawthorn person, but my expectation is, as everyone knows and has been discussed at length on Card Authority, releases are programmed very far in advance of the date that you're actually seeing a preview or receiving the product. And this would be as early as last year, I would have thought. And that's probably a point in time where Duke Newcomb there was doing a lot better than Will Day was.
Well, Will Day had injuries.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So as a result, you're seeing that. And I feel the exact same with like Jack Sinclair, for example.
Yep.
Last year, based on his stats and numbers, 100% he'd be in the box seat, as would Steele have been the previous year sort of thing. So there's obviously a bit of lag on that, and that's something that definitely comes into the speculation.
But let me
play
pose this
too.
to you, and be serious here. So take your duffel coat off for a second. If they put Jack Steele,
that's not a good result.
you'd be disappointed, wouldn't you?
Yeah, very much
like,
so.
Sinclair surely has a better chance than Steele
Yeah,
does in the next 3 years.
absolutely. And the problem is, like, I think the leading stats getter for us at the moment is Marshall. How could you ever forecast that the Ruckman would be the one that's going to potentially be your biggest Brownlow polar, So it's all relative, and as we know, form is very critical in AFL, and players come in and out of form, and the player who was the best 5 months ago could be performing horribly right now and could come back in another 12 months' time.
And again, this is just a speculation piece. It's certainly not a guarantee. Yes, George, so the winners of the Brownlow will have 3 versions of the booklets in total. Yes, in the next 3 years.
Over the next 3 years.
That's correct, yep.
If they continue it as a Series 1 thing, which you would think they will.
A few people are saying, why shouldn't it have just been like a team wildcard? Well, I think the reason why is it just becomes too messy. Like, there needs to be a little bit of, I dare use the word gamble in it.
Yeah.
If they just made it a wild card, it basically just becomes the sum.
I support the wild card theory. Sorry, I like the idea. Again, probably a bit selfish because I have no idea.
So next year,
who's a prospect for a Brownlow at St Kilda when we get our back-to-back?
So when you release Gem, next month,
I'll chuck it in there.
Can you chuck that in there?
Yeah, that was very good by Select, by the way, popping Gem into the top of the list today. A very Gabbo-esque moment.
Yeah. Yeah, you're getting a lot of flack for your Newcomb versus Will Day comments.
Am I?
Yeah.
Was I off the mark
Yeah,
there?
they're not happy.
Oh, sorry.
What do you think this will do to the value desirability of existing gold and platinum Brownlow sets? Michael,
Good question.
I think that the platinums are always platinums. They're numbered to 60. Golds are pretty stable, even with the push out of numbers over the last couple of years. I think it. I don't see it's going to devalue it. I think it's going to probably make a few people do what I do and want to collect them all
I
now.
think it's apples and oranges because you're not comparing like for like here.
That's true too.
The whole thing, because they've come out of Series 1 and we know redemption rates are generally only around 25 to 40% maximum.
Yep.
Of the previous years and less in the earlier years. Like those Dangerfields, there's probably no more than 15% of those redeemed or something.
Well, I think we
like
asked
that.
a question
a
few years ago,
yeah.
and the select said that there was like 35% of Dusties redeemed.
Yeah, which was the highest redemption by a mile at the time.
And things have
well.
changed a little bit
Yeah.
over the last couple of years because more product is being open and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But I'm sure at Wang or at Select, there is still pallets of Footy Stars 16.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. I think the platinums from the last few years is probably more comparable to the price of the future predictor one.
Absolutely.
And where that's going to be at. And I think the golds are quite reflective of what we're looking at here.
Yeah.
So then you take the player and team desirability, stack it up with the value of what a gold one goes for from Footy Stars.
Yep.
Because they were historically numbered much higher, and I think we're looking at the right sort of formula to create.
In the days
a picture.
before they did platinum and gold, they were just numbered to 170 or 100, whatever it was, 175.
Yeah.
And now they've pushed out to things with a 2. Speaking about wearing duffel coats, John O'Michaels, how does this work if Cripps wins the next 8 Brownlows?
You only get one.
You only get one.
Unfortunately.
That's right. And unfortunately, it's Sam Walsh, so you get none.
Yeah, you get none. No soup for you, Jono.
And I still owe you dinner, John. I know.
Connor Lecomte. You've done that. You've said it.
Player predictors always hold more value than a wild card if they don't win, as it has an actual player on the card. A Dacos 35 will be worth a lot more than just a Collingwood wild.
Good call.
And that's, again, we need to remind you that if you get one of the cards, call this, you then get a booklet that's basically like your ticket.
If you're a set collector, you need it.
And then if you win, you swap that booklet and you actually get this one back for the winning booklet.
So they don't hole punch through the whole plastic?
No, you get another one back. Yeah, they draw. So having a Dacos booklet that may not win or win, you're still getting a number to 35 Dacos booklet for the sake of this argument.
Yeah.
So see how good these boxes are?
Yeah.
I just can pull them out.
So
People are knocking me about them.
let's move further into the collecting side of things here and
Sure.
attaining, whichever is
Obtaining?
the correct, whatever's the correct usage of.
Yep.
Excuse me. You want to get your cards.
Yep.
You can go buy your 3 SEC boxes. You can pick up 3 in the general on sale.
Yep.
People are going to get between 3 and 6 boxes.
Yep.
How are you going about this? Are you opening all your boxes and then going to go trade the hits that you're not getting? Are you not so fussed about buying the boxes because you're going to go in a lot of breaks? What's going to happen with the breaks? There's teams that are not represented, and then there's cards that have 2 teams on them.
So I sort of played around a little bit this while I was waiting for you to arrive, and I think there's going to be a lot of traditional breaks of 15-team breaks, which we've already started doing on RGV.
Do we agree an 18 team just makes no sense? Because
No sense. You can't sell a spot for a team that doesn't have any cards.
Well, they've got the future Brownlow predictors, but I don't.
That's 1 in 13 boxes.
It's not quite giving it enough value.
That is
15's the key.
I don't want to say scammy, but that's not cool. If you've got a breaker trying to sell you a spot for Freo, if that spot is any more than $1,
With that being said, if it's priced accordingly because all you can hit is the number to 35 predictor,
that's not cool.
It doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense though.
And if pick your team with a very cheap price, cool, that makes sense. If it's random, that is absolutely filth.
Yeah.
Like you can't be randoming those 3 teams that don't have it.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, like we've debated about this too, is that I actually think the way to break this is by player base.
Yeah.
Because if you say get Geelong in a break,
Yeah.
and Gary Ablett comes up, you actually have to go into a randomizer there where you're flipping with the
So,
Gold
and
Coast
that's
person.
the whole thing about having it. So all of a
Yeah.
sudden, let's call it 15 spots in the break.
Yep.
And someone's got Geelong, someone's got Gold Coast. You've got Geelong, the Ablett card comes out, and all of a sudden, you're then in a randomizer in a 50-50 chance. And that's obviously the way it goes. And we've certainly been conditioned a little bit for that with Supremacy and, as we discussed, the big hits in Supremacy and other cards that have had dual team representation for a player or dual player representation. But certainly the player break or the serial number type thing is interesting here as well.
Because you don't want it to be a situation where you think you've won something and then you lose it. That would not be great. Connor, what I can't speak for what other people have done, but if the bonus hit, the prospect card comes out for either Freo, GWS, or Port Adelaide, we randomise that across the 15 teams in the break.
There's a little tip for anyone else that's running a breaks page.
That's how we do it.
Probably just look at that, and also as well, like I definitely say, like any breakers that are breaking the product, make sure you've clearly explained how it's going to operate in your descriptions in your break listing, so there's no surprises for any customers or anyone that's getting involved.
So I think, player breaks is going to be a solution. I think, that is probably something we'll investigate when we've got some time to digest this. It's going to be a fun break product, but something just to go back to how people are going to acquire cards.
Yeah.
If boxes are selling for 500, 600, 800, whatever, there could be a scenario where you open 3, sell 3.
Yeah, and someone's just said that. So Bern has just said
Ben
that.
said that?
It's like open half and sell half to breakers and then go in the breaks.
Yeah.
And look, we've always talked about there's no issue with flipping boxes, whether it's to us or to anyone else. Look, there's no issue with that. What we'd like to see is people in the hobby turning over the boxes, generating themselves a profit, and then reinvesting the money back in cards. And whether that's buying singles or going in breaks or raffles, whatever it may be. That is really good for the micro economy of AFL cards. And it makes perfect sense to de-risk yourself. And this has been one of the huge benefits of the SCC membership is the last 4 years of releases, boxes on the secondary market, and especially to breakers, are worth substantially more money. So people can go open, as Bern said in this instance, if you got 6 boxes, open 3 of them, get the cards, sell them, trade them, whatever it is, keep them, whatever it is you want to do. But also then sell your boxes to de-leverage yourself effectively from it, and then decide what you're going to do with it. Put the money in your pocket, put it back into buying the cards that you need, offsetting against potential trades from the cards that you hit, whatever it may be.
Yeah, and we talk about flippers, and obviously Connor Lecomte, one of the biggest flippers in the industry. If you're selling cards and making profit off it, and then buying other cards or going into breaks, fantastic. If that helps you fuel what you're doing, giddy up. I guess one of the things that we always talk about is that when you have the bots that are selling boxes and taking the money out of the community, that's not good for anyone.
Yeah.
But we can't recommend highly enough, if you want to open some, sell some, re-swish the money around, and that helps you get your PC, and you can make a little bit of money out of it, absolutely. It's fantastic.
Yeah, Stevie's the same thing. Happened to me with Brilliance. I sold my boxes to get a dual coach sig.
Perfect.
Got the card that he wanted.
Yep.
Old fella Ross Thorne thinks player breaks are the way to go.
No, that's Cat. That's Cobber.
Yeah, old Cobber.
Old Cobber, yeah.
Old go, eh?
Yeah, I feel like Richo is very upset that Nat 5's 2015 booklet is not represented.
I tend to agree. He would not be happy.
Can you do something about this?
Richo did ask before, a little bit off topic. He says, do you guys still think that there'll be a Series 2 this year? And I think we prospected on that in the previous
Look, he can be diplomatic because he owns the company.
There's going to be a Series 2.
There's going to be a Series 2.
And there'll be Supremacy.
And there's going to be Supremacy.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, for sure.
No more questions.
Big year for footy cards.
Look, shut the door. Cool. You can't see it. It's here. All right?
It's already there.
One release at a time. All right?
Yeah.
Settle down.
It's already there.
So, Jenks, I don't want to ramble on too much. I mean, obviously, you will. Let's talk a little bit about some of the names that are missing.
Yep.
Don't drop my iPad.
You know what? Before we talk about the names that are missing,
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of comments and a few messages of
Oh,
people saying,
don't talk about him.
why weren't players removed based on future performance of being absolute thugs? Trent Cotchin, he should not be getting a booklet. They should have rescinded his Brownlow, not because he didn't deserve it to begin with and stole it off Joe Watson, but because of his behaviour off the ball and absolute thuggery. Who's with me?
So Cochin, 3-time premiership captain, Brownlow medalist,
Thieving Brownlow come through.
all-round nice guy is finally getting the glory he deserves, unlike that filthy drug cheat Joe Watson.
Jab Watson.
Yeah, Jab Watson, that's right.
Terrible.
Wade, sorry
I like
lads,
Jab Watson.
was it just discussed is the redemptions are in the postage box or in the actual box? They're in the actual box is my understanding. Is that right, James?
That is what we are led to believe at this point until someone opens the box and it's not.
Yes, I understand they are in there, but it's just a card, so
Yeah.
I know someone talked about weighing before. I don't think that'll really be in play. So names that are missing.
Yes.
Obviously, there's an obvious one of Adam Goods.
Yep.
So people, like Jim Steins, are not signing for obvious reasons.
Yes.
But there is definitely a few people there on the list. Paul Couch was another one, and Scotty Wind were the 3 notable names that, and clearly for whatever reason, it might be health, it might be no longer interested in football, a bit of a falling out.
Yeah.
I would say that is why they haven't signed it. And Adam Goods in particular has been very vocal, and I'm certainly not going to get into an Adam Goods conversation here, that he's lost his love for AFL and wants nothing to do with it, etc., etc. Don't laugh.
No, I'm reading the comments. I'm sorry.
Serious.
I'm reading Paul Richardson's
All
comment.
right. So, that would be why that we don't see an Adam Goods booklet there, which is unfortunate for obviously Sydney collectors and football collectors because he's a dual Brownlow medalist. He's a superstar.
Yeah.
Look, who knows? Things can change in the future. If they do, that would be great, obviously, for that to be added in the set. All right, read your comment out that you're laughing.
No. So Richo just said something, but then Dean Sainsbury's come straight in over the top and said, I think the difference between in the post box or actual boxes for breakers, sorry, that's Wado, it rolled down the screen. All comments in this live stream are strictly comedic in nature and no offense should be taken. We appreciate that disclaimer.
Yeah.
And in the same way, I'm disappointed that they didn't do a Lenny Hayes booklet. He didn't win it, but he definitely deserved it. So, that's disappointing.
I saw a couple of early sideswipes from Gribbler talking about, who was it? Grant, I think, got dicked by Robert Harvey.
That
maybe suspension or something like that.
Yeah, he deserved it.
There'll be a few of those, and a few of those stories will come out, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, take off your duffel coat again for a second.
Yes.
Tell me 2 of the biggest names on that list. Who are some of the biggest?
Unfortunately for me, I think Lockett, but maybe that could be a bit of bias.
You've got to take your duffel coat off. You can't pick some two.
There's a few monsters here, right? Gaza is like Gaza.
Yep.
I think Dane Swan is just a huge one because he has such a cult following and people love him and it's a fantastic card. James Hird, the Chris Judd thing, and especially for the Carlton people. I suppose the question is, which ones aren't?
So I've got
what's not
hang
huge?
on, before you get to that for a second, I've got it's a bit of a loaded question for you.
Yeah.
Probably the bottom 10 or so are names that we've seen over the last couple of years in releases and select.
Yeah.
Supremacy, Optimum, all that kind
Well,
of stuff.
I didn't know half these guys' names until I saw them. Yeah.
There is a patch of players there: Greg Williams, Platten, Healy, Libba, Wanganeen, Voss, Woden, Ackermanis, Black. A lot of those guys don't have... Dipper might have one signed card.
Yeah.
There's some big players there that are very emotive with people.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Platten, I've had multiple...
I've seen Shane Crawford's name getting thrown around a lot
massive.
already. Yeah.
Well, if people may or may not know, Shane Crawford has a captain signature that when Jenks was moving offices, he actually lost half of the redemptions. So there is very, very few of those numbered to 50 cards.
True.
It is a very desirable card. It's not redeemable. If you do have a redemption card, you can't redeem it anymore. So for him to be now signing booklets, that's going to give a lot of people an opportunity to have a Crawford card.
Absolutely. Gavin Wanganeen at Essendon.
Yep. Do you think the Port guys are a little shitty at that?
Probably. That's a ripping hit right there.
I mean, he didn't win. So, Chris Judd with 2 clubs after her. Cousins, Lockett, Gaza, Hayes, Stiff.
Like, no offense to Footscray / Western Bulldogs, but John Schultz doesn't get me excited.
Yep.
I'm not sure about everyone else. And then there's a bunch of names here.
Apologies to the Schultz family.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of names here that, as you said, I only know them through supremacy, heritage, and stuff like that. So I'm not actually quite sure of the desirability. Like, I'm certainly familiar with Alistair Lord, but how desirable would those cards? Not, Noel Teasdale, for example.
Okay, well,
Brian Gleeson, for example, does not excite me. I need it.
What do you know about Brian Gleeson's work at St Kilda?
Yeah, but that's the thing. So Brian Gleeson, that card, like Brian Gleeson doesn't excite me because I just don't care too much about him.
But you're going to get it.
I'm absolutely going to get it. But it's probably the difference between I'm only getting a couple of those and some other players I'm going for like a lot more.
This leads to another question. I've had multiple people today, or in the last 2 hours that I've spoken to, that have told me I want to get 4 or 5 of those.
And so that's part of the equation.
I think this is going to be a sneaky product that people are going to bulk of certain players they like because it's booklets, they're affordable.
I've gone from the theory now throughout the podcast to now I'm at the point of I was thinking at the start I wanted a shelf of booklets. Now I'm just thinking I want a cabinet of shelves of booklets. So, maybe I can find seven stands, 7 shelves.
Good luck getting it dusty.
And then maybe like 10 per shelf.
Good luck getting dusty. So Connor Lecomte, he's on fire tonight, Lecomte. Honestly, like release time is where he shines.
Yeah.
Best thing with the old boys is they generally always sign really well. And that is absolutely spot on. The signatures of the old guys, they took pride in it.
Not the super old ones, because some of them are, they're quite old.
Yeah.
But certainly players
like
of the
Dipper has
the
a
90s
beautiful sig.
like the 90s era.
Yeah.
I feel like the 80s and 90s.
Would you see Bob Skilton's signature?
People had proper signatures. It
Yep.
wasn't just like a few letters or a scribble in their jumper number.
Like you and I have shit autographs.
Yeah, that's right. But those are that's serious penmanship going on there. It's people that prided themselves when they got out the old feather and ink.
Yeah. And so there's going to be some rippingly beautiful signatures there. A bunch of the older guys and the old Scallons cards have some recognition. Yeah, absolutely. You're spot on there, Dean. Surprised some of the older winners are still alive, to be honest. Didn't think Lord was still alive. Well, clearly he is. But he also signed a Brilliance card, I think, in 2020 as well. And I famously, I think, in my second...
But 2020 was 4 years ago. A few of these blokes are pretty old. Like, Bernie Quinlan, he's got to be pretty old. Yeah. Kevin Templeton, like...
I'll give you a tip. Any of these guys in the 50s and the 60s that won, well, they're pushing 80, pushing 90.
Yeah, more. Yeah.
Yeah. Gary Ablett Jr. does have a nice sig.
That's impressive.
All right, we're rambling a little bit.
We are.
All right, so... Brownlow Medalist release. It is on sale now for SEC members, $225 a box. You can get 3 of them. General sale opens on Sunday at 7 p.m. You can get 3 more. Shipping on Tuesday the 22nd. Get your storage boxes. Go buy some booklets. Trade. Go in breaks. Buy cards. These are sick. They look great.
I'm excited.
It's really
I'm excited. And it's going to be like, once this comes out and we start to see everyone start posting their photos of their hits and all that sort of stuff, it's going to be crazy.
Yep.
Crazy times ahead. Super exciting.
It's going to be
amazing to get a release like this in the middle of the year. Unexpected for a lot. We probably called it pretty early when we started seeing those leaks pop out. That it felt like it was coming, and the timing all worked out well. Credit to Select, they've hit it on the head here. I think it's a huge injection for the hobby. I think we had a really great run with Brilliance in the hobby, and to have this come out at this point in time, I think is a very, very smart move, and I think it's a big win for collectors, a big win for the speculators, flippers, and everyone else in between.
Glenn wants to know if RGV Break's going to do a 12-box break.
I'm going to make a commitment now. At some point, we will do a 12-box break. And if you're lucky, Glenn, we'll put your name in brackets somewhere there.
No, we won't. We love you, Glenn. But yes, we will definitely be doing some big breaks, 5s, 10s, 20s,
Whatever, whatever it is.
Whatever everyone wants.
We'll see how we go with
How many more releases from this year from now, Justin? Maybe 2 or 3.
I agree with what Lecomte has said, 2 to 3.
Yep.
Well,
Series 2 Supremacy, maybe Rookie,
yeah.
maybe Gem.
And as much as
maybe Pinnacle.
as much as people may not be on board with this, the hobby is buzzing. Like, it's flying. Again, like we always refer to, think about the Facebook pages and the groups that you're in, and the volume of new names you just see on a constant basis. That's a reflection of where we're at. So get excited. Big release coming up. We'll see you back here at Card Authority.
Great work, Jenks.
Very soon.
Thank you, everyone. Check out all the details on Card Authority. Go get your boxes. They're live on Select right now, and enjoy the release. And we will be back in release week to talk about everything that's been going on.
We will.
Good times.
It is indeed.
Thanks, everyone. Ciao.